Hello, my friends. My name is Eric, and welcome back to Carnage Reviews. Today's movie you may have never heard of or seen. We're checking out a slasher film from 1993 known as Skinner. I discovered this film after reviewing the movie Blood Rage, which the star of Skinner, Ted Raimi, had a small role in. Skinner was meant to capitalize on the success of Silence of the Lambs. However, this film is much more than a cash in or simple knockoff. Skinner was directed by Ivan Nagy. It stars Ted Raimi, Ricky Lake, Tracy Lords, and Richard Schiff. Skinner follows a man named Dennis Skinner, who rents a room from a married couple named Carrie and Jeff, who are in a very rocky relationship. Dennis is a serial killer who walks the streets at night, killing sex workers and doing things with the skin. Heidi, who appears to be a surviving past victim of Dennis, and possibly his first, rents a room at a seedy motel where the owner of the motel secretly watches her. She stalks Dennis, who she refers to as Skinner, seeking revenge. As Dennis continues to kill more and more women, he begins to develop a relationship with Carrie, which further complicates things as Heidi gets closer and closer.
And believe me, at 6 years old, that can really freak you out.
As I previously mentioned, this film was meant to capitalize on the popularity of Silence of the Lambs, and originally the film was set in England, but got changed to take place in California. To me, the film feels more like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer and not Silence of the Lambs. Unlike Henry, we don't really get a psychological reason why Dennis does what he does, other than a monologue from him describing an incident that took place after his mother died when he was a child. Ted Raimi does a really good job in the role. He has a knack for being quirky in a very likable and interesting way. But at the same time, he can be a complete psycho. His expressions, his mannerisms, even his voice, all really help in creating the character.
Everything's just fine.
Heidi, who's played by Tracy Lords and is the nemesis of Dennis, is a very interesting and unique character. The lengths at which she goes to find and get Dennis almost make her as bad as he is. And she has a very weird interaction with this seedy motel owner, and it's very strange. The movie presents us with a very interesting dynamic. The motel owner stalks Heidi, Heidi stalks Skinner, aka Dennis, and Dennis stalks prostitutes. It's very ironic, and it shows us how the hunter can easily become the prey. The film has a really interesting water motif. Dennis is always walking through water or looking at water in the movie quite a bit. And there's a scene where he explains to Carrie that he likes water because it's always moving and changing. And Dennis is a drifter, so he's always moving. And change is a key word here because he's killing all these women, skinning them alive, and wearing the skin. And he's doing this multiple times. So Dennis himself is always changing. My favorite scene is when Dennis does this monologue after he kills this woman. So he kills this woman and he skins her. And as he's skinning her, he tells her about when he was 6 years old, how his father did the post mortem on his mother and he made Dennis watch. And it's very graphic because obviously he's skinning this woman and you're seeing it and the effects are really well done. They were done by K&B. But the thing is that the skinning, to me anyways, isn't really what's disturbing. It's what Dennis is saying because as he's talking, it just gets more and more creepy and under your skin. At one point in the movie, Dennis kills this coworker who was picking on him, who just so happens to be African American. And like his other victims, he kills them and skins them and wears his skin. And when he wears this gentleman's skin in particular, he acts like he's black in a very stereotypical and one could call racially insensitive way. Now, you could never do this today, I don't think. And if you did, you would get some serious backlash. And perhaps this scene is insensitive, but And maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think that this was done to establish how Dennis, when he skins these people and he puts on their skin, maybe he thinks he becomes them. And that's why he's trying to act like him, even though it's in a very stereotypical and maybe ignorant way. But perhaps that's the reason. Maybe Dennis is so unhappy being himself that he'd rather be anybody else. And perhaps that's why maybe he even does what he does. Skinner is a very unique film, and it may not seem that way on paper, but when you sit down and start watching it, you'll realize shortly that you're in for something different. It's well shot, well edited, has great music, great acting, and some really good effects from K&B. I give Skinner 5 skulls. I highly, highly recommend you check it out. Have you seen Skinner? Let me know in the comments what you think about the film. And if you enjoyed today's video, please give that like button a good old smacky smack. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Well, my friends, that's it for me. Remember, if you have a roommate who has a weird obsession with water, it's 99% likely they are a serial killer who kills people and then skins them and wears their skins. Take care, guys. Bye bye.